Morning, Tim.
Morning, everyone.
Let's get started in a minute. Waiting for the chief. Thank you. Right, let's call the meeting to order and start off with the land acknowledgement. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional land of the First Nations and has been inhabited by indigenous people from the beginning. Particularly acknowledge the history, spirituality, and culture of the territory of the Anishinaabe Nation, people of the Three Fires, known as the Ojibwe, Odawe, and Potawatomi Nation. Further give thanks to the Chippewas of Saugeen, Chippewas of Nayash, known collectively as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. We recognize and deeply appreciate the historic connections to this area, as well as the contributions of the Métis, Inuit, and other indigenous peoples whose ancestors share these lands and waters. May we live with respect for each other on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. English. Prior to today's meeting, the board met in closed sessions to review and discuss matters in their opinion found under Section 44 of the Community Safety and Policing Act and Section 24, Item B of the Once on Police Services Board General Policy. Moving on to item number 3, approval of the agenda. A motion for that? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. All in favor? Okay. Declaration of conflict of interest arising out of minutes and matters on agenda. We're done. Presentation of documentations. At this point in time, we don't have any with Inspector General coming up top. So we'll have to be cognizant of time and our reports. Confirmation of the minutes of the public session on July 2nd, 2024. Brian, thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Any business arising from the public session minutes of July 2nd? Hearing none. Correspondence received and package with the Prime Struggles or coordinators report, and also an article regarding the county to share court security and transportation costs starting in 2025. Under Chairman's report, August 21st, I Ecuador Police Youth Summer event sponsored by the September 25th, they attended the Inclusion, Diversity, and Belonging Conference, sponsored in part by the Some Police Service. And actually, Member Drazier was also attended that, and she's actually one of the organizers of the events with her right now. September 26th, they attended the OSPSB board meeting. I won't go through all the items in the agenda, but I will provide it. We're expecting our first zone 5 meeting on October 22nd, 2024. This will be an in-person meeting as well. Last time via Zoom back in March. Reason for the delay is other zones and ourselves have not been able to meet due to lack of liability issues, coverage issues. They've been staff reports. The expectation is that those issues will be resolved and will be able to be legitimately by October 22nd, 2024. Moving on to item number 10, governance. On August 30th, 2024, the board received notification that mandatory thematic training is been available and board members must complete the training by September 30th. And I'm happy to report that all of the board members present this completed that training. Training is part of an ongoing training requirement under the UCSP, and the training involves recently with human rights and systemic racism, promoting recognition and respect for the diverse, multicultural, multiracial nature of our society, and promoting recognition and respect for the rights and culture of First Nations. And I have a note here to ask Wayne if he has anything to cover with things. So, item number 11, reports from Secretary.
Jared, I think in the interest of time, we're trying to compress these a little bit, given what they were put out in the package. I'll just touch on a couple of highlights as we move through CIB reports. You've got 3 months of reports in front of you. Yet again, that the 3 homicides from the summer of 2023 remain on the reports some 13, 14 months after they occurred, and that's really reflective of the staffing commitment still required to keep those up and running. The only real changes with respect to them in July, you'll note that there was a media release that went out with respect to the wrong homicide. That was due to a lot of discussions that the chief had with the investigators with respect to just wanting to make sure that we got something out there. And even there's been some criticism about the limited amount that had gone out on that, but that media release been back and forth to a number of different stakeholders within the investigation a number of times to just get to where we did. So again, I've always said once more details can come out, we'll explain a little bit more in terms of why this is going on the way it is. The other thing with respect to the second homicide, or actually, sorry, second homicide, we're just now starting the work process for the 17-year-old that was charged in that. So we've had to move people around to accommodate that part. So that is just one of many court proceedings that are going to come out of these 3 homicides, and they are complex. So the investigators, in fact, I think they're back in court again for the 17-year-old. So that one's going to continue on throughout the fall. We have been seeing a little bit more of a trend as the province has with respect to high dollar frauds that are occurring here. They are very time consuming for our CIB members. They often require production orders to banks, search warrants to internet service providers and production orders. And more often than not, in most cases, they are offshore and lead to frustration with respect to what's happening, but that is increasingly a big issue. The other thing I'll touch on just on the CIB reports, we are trending up again in overdose deaths. We are at 10 in August, which could potentially put us, depending on how the rest of the year goes, that may be our biggest year. We are not winning that fight as far as that goes, and that is concerning from a community perspective. So, are there any questions on CIB reports? Okay. And quickly move to the auxiliary. You'll see 3 months worth of auxiliary board reports with all of the different summer events that they have covered during that time period. The grand total for all 3 months is 677 hours of donated volunteer time. That is a big number. Just reflects the importance of the auxiliary unit and the amount of assistance that we get from that unit on an annual basis. So they are the ones that are able to allow us to keep items like the Pride Parade, the Canada Day, and those sorts of things staffed. A lot of it being front facing with the community, in addition to the assistance that they provide on riding with the officers share. So very good to see that the auxiliary unit remains busy. Some questions on that one? We'll simply move to core. And again, all the stats are there for 3 months of the core unit and the so as the chief as mentioned before, we are just getting to the point where we are getting our staffing back to complement, and the areas where we forced to carry some vacancies has been with the team, the bail compliance team, while we are still continuing our work there. And the good news part of that story is that with other changes that I early into 2025 staff those units again. So they really are proactive units that allow us to be able to do a lot of the extras that certainly help with the unit. Questions on the floor? Most of it is staff related. As you can see, they've been busy. That for the most part is 1 or 2 persons.
Yeah, I know it's a lot more hours. It's like investigation.
Yeah, again, homicides are all hands on deck for a very long period of time. Just not getting back to work. So, absolutely anything else happening. So,
Dave, going back to that CIB report, ODs, do you have any statistics on, are they in homes or are they, people living on the street? Do you know the breakdown? You don't know, it's fine. It's fine.
public health, we've been working quite a bit with public health, sharing information. We did break that down 1 year. I can get you that for the next meeting.
Just
The other thing that I hate to say that is the official stat because it's stat. So there is some sharing of, so those would be deaths that we become involved in. So those are the ones that we don't report on as if there's a police presence. So for example, if somebody loaded someone in their car and brought them at the emergency room hospital, so if anything, our stats are low. For the most part, in previous couple of years, they are in homes. And I think the biggest challenge in what we relate to public health is in most of the cases that we look at, naloxone is present. It is in the house. The problem is people are continuing to use a home. So by the time there's no one there to administer it. So using drugs, it's very frustrating when you sometimes photos from the deaths and there's naloxone sitting on the nightstand. It's just straight at the time. So that's led to you've seen a number of emergency alerts quoted from public health that usually have the same message: don't use alone, that sort of thing. But I don't think it's a prevalence of naloxone. Naloxone is out there. Everybody that's looking for it has ample access to it, which is different from a few years ago. There needs to be somebody to administer it when the ordinance effects kick in. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions? We don't know the greatest numbers. Public health.
they do send something out. We are.
You're always delayed. 3 numbers. Must be high. It used to be 16 to 18.
We just don't want our numbers to be de facto. When we go and it appears there's drug residue, make a presumption for the purpose of our report. So as the chief said, sometimes it can be 3 months before toxicology comes back to it.
Thank you. So our enforcement statistics on our frontline patrol report are very similar to the year before. 347 HDA charges laid over 3 months of summer, 268 cautions, 457 criminal code charges, and 308 hours of foot patrol. That 308 hours of foot patrol is just our 4 platoons. Dave's reports here, 4 unit, but less over that. So some good for patrol hours in the River District. We had 56 on-duty ride checks with 2,150 drivers checked. During the summer, we did 4 joint force ride initiatives with West Gray, Hanover, South Bruce, and we had one here in Sound that coincided with Salmon Spectacular. And we had 13 impaired driving charges laid. So, subject to any questions. We move on to collisions, which are all very similar to the year before. We're down just slightly with 113 total collisions over the summer. 53 of them were handled by our collision reporting center and 60 of them by our officers. That concludes the frontline report. Moving on to community services, very busy summer. Jason had his youth and policing students hired, and they're very active in various programs. The exciting program at Bayfield Landing, their positive ticketing program, where they like around the city, engaging with youth and find youth that are doing things right. They're given a coupon for a local business. It's involved with the Pride Group and their parade and their festival, and continues to collaborate with the newcomers to Owen Sound, some of the events, each day event, and so working with Blind Settlement Services. A lot of presentations that occurred with youth and community groups, community living, Kelseyville, Bayfield Landing, and Jason was also the keynote speaker at the event. That concludes the community services report. And there's some photos from the summer, some of the events that our students were involved in. There's a picture of our students at the bottom, one page at the Youth and Policing Provincial Conference. Moving on to lost hours of training, our numbers were very similar to the year before. With sickness and injury over the 3 months, as well as WSIB. For training, we wasn't as much training over the summer. We had some in-house training going on with our communicators. We had people on major case management course, criminal investigations, cultural mindfulness. We had an officer on the frontline supervisor. That's just some of the training that occurred over the summer. That concludes my report.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go over the records one, just briefly highlight a few things. So our bulk record checks for June, July, and August are down compared to the start of the year, but that is pretty standard year to year with, I think it comes down to holidays, they're just less busy. Year to date, we're still up 8% from what we were from 2023, so that's positive. Persons charged criminally are up 19% year to date from 2023, as well as executed warrants are up 24.3% from year to date. On to courts, for July, or June, July, and August, we are significantly up percentage-wise of prisoners transported. Since May, all of our prisoner for OPP and Owen Sound Police, all our bails are in person at the courthouse now. So definitely a jump in prisoners at the courthouse. That also contributes to special constable hours being up. It looks like 15% from year to date. There's also in 2024, we had a couple of lengthy in custody trials, which also contributed to the hours and special constables being up for the throughout 2024. So I would comment though that prisoners coming back in person has definitely been more productive. I think it's dealing with the virtual audio and stuff, it made things a lot more complicated. So I think that's definitely a positive for efficiencies. Also, just wanted to note from the court end of things, criminal court trials are being scheduled well into 2025, into the summer. We're dealing with having to obviously schedule dates in this, on annual leave time that officers could actually be picking for annual leave, except now that takes them out of being able to select those dates just because we're kind of working around defense counsel's schedules, but our officer leave draw hasn't been selected yet, so we're booking trials just based on officer availability that they're available as of 2025 right now. If that is going to have an impact on obviously selection for them at the times they can talk. So I just wanted to be noted that we are well into the summer of 2025 looking for trials, and there is a bigger push to get trials heard sooner with the directives that have come down. So just wanted to point that out. One positive is though that obviously in July 2024, Grey County Council did vote on the sharing of course security costs starting 2025, so that's definitely a positive and city standpoint. And for bylaw, not too much to report, just as of all taxi companies complied with the meter changes and new rates, and all companies have received their
We're gonna see the report of the director of public service.
Morning. So what you'll see on the in our present or in our report is a new logo for the Hotel Emergency Communication Center. So with what we've done is taking a look at public safety and the officer safety, first responder safety. We've designed a brand for the Hotel Emergency Communication Center. That represents what they do on a daily basis. So you have the 911, the headset, and then police, fire, and ambulance logo with the radio transmissions in the bottom portion. That's something that you'll see on the new comm center and any branding and dispatchers played a collaborative part in designing that logo. So the 911 calls for the OSPSB surpassed 200 calls per day. That's with a steady increase since March. The highest number being 229 911 calls processed in August. Year to date, the 911 calls are down 17%, but that's primarily due to an increase in non-answerable calls in June and July last year. Those unanswerable calls were due to a cell phone provider update that didn't leave your crash notifications and emergency notifications were automatically set. So when you have some jiggling in your car cup holder or in your pocket, or you fall down on a ski hill, it automatically sends a notification to the closest 911 center. We can continue to transfer 70% of our 911 calls, with 30% of those being dispatched by the Ontario Police for our police and fire partners. We have experienced a decrease in the number of Grey County calls being dispatched so far this year. However, the Grey County calls are driven primarily by weather. So a good winter season results in less calls for service. Not necessarily a bad thing. We've seen a 1.4% increase in the number of dispatch calls for service to date this year, with 6,659 calls being dispatched in July and 6,640 calls in August. That's approximately 250 calls dispatched in July and 214 in August. Specific to the Old Sound Police, we are reporting record highs in daily dispatch rates in July and August, with monthly volume surpassing 1,900 and daily rates surpassing 60 dispatch calls per day. We're seeing a steady increase in dispatch calls for service. And that's it for me. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you. What's up?
Morning, everyone. For the month of June, July, and August this summer, our staff are extremely busy with next generation 911 as well as the new communication center. Final design and layout was completed, and working with Inspector Bishop and Director Bell Matson, and getting these systems online, installed correctly. We have a large UPS on our uninterruptible power supply. We were going to change the batteries originally, and when it was being done, in parallel to the communication center build, we noticed that some of the components were becoming end of life and could be a liability. They were changed by the vendor at the same time. As you know, there's 14 desks involved in the comm center rollout, both the ones here and related ones at our backup center, tied with a CAD refresh. Our CAD software is approximately 5 years old. Just due to some treasury board things and changes, they finally completed the RFP. We're slated this November on the 25th to begin that migration. So following our comm center change, we'll be doing a CAD refresh shortly thereafter, and in between that, we'll be doing next generation 9.1. We have a kickoff of the final vendor tomorrow. All the other vendors have completed their work. The biggest delay is with Bell Canada. Owen Sound Police specifically has their circuits completed for some time. Remote sites that we're providing, we're dealing with them on a daily basis. We're actually in Eastern Ontario for all of last week, working with our clients. And with the due date, I think it's March 5th, 2025, we're going to find a lot of our Eastern Ontario counterparts are going to struggle to meet that date, even us being out there on a daily basis trying to get them up and running. It's not for lack of Owen Sound Police or them, but rather Bell Canada, they have a lot of permits via rail, Hydro One, all of those Ministry of Transportation. And that's come back through Director Bell since met with CRTC Commissioner a couple weeks ago. Bell Canada is definitely a major delay. There's about 240 comm centers in Canada and only 5 completed work. So Owen Sound will still be one of the first, but a lot of infrastructure to be done for everybody else to meet that target, or even have a chance of meeting that target. So we remain busy. We've done a number of security audits, both for Saugeen Shores Police, Westbury Police. We actually, while we were out east last week, we conducted a security audit for Smith Falls Police to work with them and complete some tasks they have. All in all, we have a busy few months before the end of the year, and primarily it'll be comm center related, CAD refresh, and obviously next generation. Questions related to that?
Questions for me? Thanks, Chris. Moving on to financial updates.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So the financial projections out to the year are completed currently. The board accounts balance, the uniform 3,100 is well below anticipated because of some staffing vacancies, and that we carried what we hired to replace some members that were off. The 3,200 in civilian line, we're significantly over. We hired a director this year, and it wasn't included in the budget, and then as well we've got significant time to cover absences, the comm center and some locations. And as Director Snowden mentioned, the port security, the staffing increases as things come back online and start picking up as well over budget. There's a forecast of surplus right now, but due to the ongoing negotiations for a collective agreement, not only the direct impact of that, I would say probably even more influence like that as a result of the negotiation.
Any questions?
So just pretty few summer, busy over the summer. Some of the things that we did, the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal, it's training post as part of the grant funding. Hate crime, counseling, and aid here, and we invite other friends from other areas and police services. Be sure. A very good day. Because Solicitor General was here last time we met for a popular meeting here in the area.
Aye. Dispatch. If they want, please, that the dispatcher who made the tour. For the traffic report, dispatch center, how that worked. Also, over the summer, our research project with Carleton University kicks off, and they were here. Service providers, police, service users. That process should, that result should come out this fall. Or service provision. The Carleton University. August, we've done budget preparation and attended the Association of Police Chiefs, conference. Some of the pilots. And for.
Moving on to other items, release of police report. Did you?
Actually, I think. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But if you just kind of explains. And it's a. Infographic.
Oh, sure, okay. Thank you. Yeah, so the official annual reporting crime stats come out at the end of July every year. Every police service is mandated to submit national coded uniform crime reported statistics every month, and then Stats Canada runs some of their magic and behind the scenes. So there's quite a process, and that's why there is a bit of a delay. They use a most serious violation counting method, which is more comparable across many different police services provincially and nationally. So all of these stats are based on the most serious violation in an incident. And then they have a whole team of statisticians that track all kinds of information related to these stats. Infographic here is they've started to do more infographics by the DOT. But the infographics try to capture highlights here. So the graph that you're seeing at the top is the total crime severity index, the violent crime severity index, and the non-violent crime severity index nationally back to 2006. So it helps to show the trends over time. You can see all of the crime severity was increasing prior to the pandemic. During the pandemic, it's kind of dropped, rated down, and then we've seen a consecutive increase across the board since the last 3 years. So nationally, overall crime is up in 2%. They look at a comparison of the larger urban areas across the country, the census metropolitan areas, what's gone up, which areas are general increase, which ones are seeing a general increase or decrease, increase, and also then just looking at some of the offenses nationally that are driving this. So across Canada, they were seeing shifts due to homicides, which went down, extortion that went up, robberies were up, and assault level 2. So those mid-level serious assaults were on the rise across Canada. Non-violent offenses, significant increase in child pornography. Some of that I would say is reporting. Really push to improve the accuracy of the reporting and also the confidence that people report, like recognizing to come forward. Fraud is also on the rise, shoplifting, motor vehicle theft, all on the rise across Canada. One of the non-violent offenses that was down, trending down. So that's just a quick highlight. There's a few other really interesting pieces of graphics. With what sounds local stats, I like to look at national trends first. see how things are comparing our local areas.
Great. Any questions for? Thanks, Lynn. I guess the Prime Stoppers letter to the police departments. We got that previously, which is that correspondence we received from. Looked at date of the next board meeting. I think we're looking at Wednesday the 21st. Is that? Item number E, staff appreciation.
Just a reminder, October 29th at 7 is our staff appreciation night. Invitations are going out now and we look forward to seeing everyone.
Thank you, Dylan. I'm gonna take out all those dates that have full appreciation. Okay, good. Anything else that you look forward to this?
I'm sorry, I would apologize ahead of time. I'm out of town 29th. Appreciation. We didn't have to say that.
It's all right. I wish I was with you. Yes, okay. If there's nothing else, then sure, the public meeting. Appreciate it.